comment on dit? Sanibonani. Nyapila. Njani. So, good morning, everyone. So, I'm Nathalie Dariès. I'm from Unicef. I'm responsible at Unicef for all questions around adolescent education and protection and HIV prevention. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here today with you. It's a very important moment for us as Unicef, but also as the UN family, the United Nations family in Eswatini, to welcome you here to discuss today the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. So I'm sure someone will tell you more about this anniversary, but for me it's very important that we can listen to your voice. You are the future of this nation, of Eswatini, but you are also the future of the United Nations. And it's very important that we take this moment to listen to your concerns, to your challenges, and also to listen to your ideas about what would be the future of the United Nations. And the United Nations, as it is said in the name, it's all the nations together. What do we want for the world, for the future? Like if we celebrate in 25 years, we celebrate 100 years. What would you like to see as United Nations? So for us, really, today is important to be able to listen to your voice as young people from Eswatini and to tell us what you want for the future. So thank you very much. I'm sure we will have a very nice conversation. Please feel free to express all what you want to say, and we'll take note of your concerns and your ideas and your solutions for the future. Thank you very much.
It really feels good to know that you are going to be the voice of Emaswati children, right? Right? Uh-huh. And as Natalie has mentioned, we are going to be able to discuss around the world we would like to see in how many years? Because today, okay, they said the UN is turning 75, but even beyond that, what are we even going to do? We want to see when the UN turns 100 years, which is 25 years from now. We are at a point when we were discussing this big challenge that we're currently in, right? And we thought you could share your experiences on how, I don't know if there are any positive effects, any positive impact of the COVID situation. Do you have any positive? Let's start on the positives, if there are any positive. Does it have any positive effects on you guys? Ms. Noni? Yeah,
Maybe before we get into that, Auntie Vu, maybe we should allow teenagers to give us a background on the UN and then just contextualize our meeting, and then we hand over to you officially. Chief Facilitator, if you allow us.
Their voices against us.
Do you need the mic?
Confronting problems is a start. But we also have to solve.
I'm trying not to speak. Sometimes I can be boring. So I think the video will just do the trick.
Okay.
For us. The whole idea, as Magen Nathalie has already mentioned, this year the UN is turning 75 years. With this celebration, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres decided that instead of a celebration, I mean, the world is faced with a lot of challenges. The UN feels that instead of celebrating, why don't we get solutions from people, ordinary people, about what can be done about the challenges that the world is facing. You can name. I think right now we're faced with the biggest health challenge, but there are many. There's conflict, there's climate change, there's misrepresentation in technology, misinformation, and all those issues that are affecting development. So as people of the world and as children, we are asked to share our voices. I think as Natalie was saying, let's make our voices heard. So in a way, the feedback that we're trying to capture will come in the form of surveys. So we'll ask you to participate in that survey. But also today, because we are meeting with you face to face, and there are some that are also joining online. So we want to hear, specific voices from you, and then that will be consolidated and sent to headquarters, where a report will be produced and then presented to the UN General Assembly on the 21st of September this year. When the world leaders are there, there'll be a report that will come out, and it's most likely for you to see yourself there. So I actually said that, and I think it's captured for me. So that's what we want you to feel when the report comes out. That's why we put you here, so that your voices can be heard. We may be young as we were, but we have the solutions. So feel free, share as much as possible with the world. There are structured questions. I think Vumile will engage with us. So far, we've had dialogues with many groups. I think the target or the focus really is on marginalized groups, people that don't usually get the chance to say something. You children, usually when we plan things, we forget you. People living with disability. Also, LGBTQI, does anybody know that? Marginalized groups that we know. The UN is saying, let's go and talk to all these people and make sure that their voices is heard, because we need the solution. So that's what we're doing, and we are happy, and thank you very much to UNICEF for organizing this session. As we are here, we are likely being heard, not only in Eswatini by other young people, but also in the world, because people can tune in. Once you can go to hashtag UN75, you're already global. So the discussion is no longer in Eswatini, it's already in the world. So I'm trying to see if we can play just a teaser on the issues before we can start. So it's a minute video, so it won't take us too long, just so you can get a glimpse of what you are talking. Thank you.
Confronting problems is a start, but we also have to solve them. We have a timeless guide to tackle our shared challenges and fix the world's fragilities. The guide is the United Nations Charter. The Charter was signed 75 years ago, and its principles ring just as true today. Facing fundamental human rights, the equal rights of men and women, the dignity and worth of every person, international law and the peaceful settlement of disputes, better standards of life in larger freedom. These enduring values will carry us to a new future. A future where we stop harming the natural environment and start tackling climate change. Where we reject bigotry and celebrate the richness of human diversity. Where young people live in the streets, in their schools, in society. The United Nations was founded before threats like cybercrime and online hate speech emerged. But our Charter shows how to rise to these challenges too. Let us realize this vision of peace, human rights and justice for everyone by joining together with humanity, with unity, with each other.
Okay, we'll protect it when we get more. We'll protect it later. But for now, I think let's move on to the discussion. I think you have an idea. The UN was born in 1945, and I think it was just after the Second World War. Mainly, some of it issue that was important at that time was how to achieve peace for the world. So up to now, there have been many other issues that the UN is dealing with, human development being one. Now we're dealing with climate change. 17 SDGs are looking into people, the planet, prosperity, and peace. So the UN is looking at almost at every aspect of development as we know it. But at this stage, as I've mentioned before, the world is in a crisis, and the UN wants to find solutions to these challenges. So here we are. Avumile, let's get the solutions. Thank you.
Okay, we were. May I change my. We welcome the ones that have just arrived. Siyabemukela basanza kungena. Labasanza kungena siyabemukela. Ngicela phambi sethandla sibabona sibangakuphi. Bengibhekele mne bampa bami. Afakamise isandla ukuthi sine sanza kufika. Nangiva nonke mos. Siyasitela nima senta kube ngcono lena. Okay, I think sisinoni utohamba nembhobho khona sitaniva singibani wakabani. Stove mabito ethu.
All right. I am Sisnoni and I'm 15 years old. I come from Baban.
I am Mugera Makakula and I'm 30 years old. I come from Bluve. I am Mugera Makakula. I come from Bluve. I am 13 years old.
Oh, my name is Kuzulu Antlekama. I come from Kakoza. I'm 15 years old.
My name is Fundisa Kumara. I come from Mbavan. I am 13 years old. My name is Valencia Tel. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Big Bend.
Big Bend. Anyone else? Before I get to the 10-year-olds like me.
Sanwanan. My name is Jabulile Mapalala from St. Joseph's Primary.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ncedile Makakula. I come from St. Joseph's Primary School.
Welcome, Ncedi. Ncedi is only 4. I know her. She's 4 years old.
I'm Simelane Makosonge from Zandondo.
Okay.
Years old. Zandondo High School.
Zandondo High School. Welcome.
Welcome.
Nonke. Over to you.
I want to suggest that we change the masks ethu, and we wear la amake noni, asisinoni. Nangiva sengiyavakala ngcono nyalo, la ngigcoke lena. Lena lamanye ayasiza, yabo ngiyathi siyapensa ngawo, songile ngawo. Branded kamnanzi, but ke so beswagcoke bamfa bami. Sto khona kuvakala angithi. Angato struggle sha uthi isibusiso. Nasekalela ukuthi phela bamfa bami bebathini. Okay, nasafika la, nasacala to introduce. Somebody did mention ngokuthi ucabanga ukuthi le investor lapha is to talk about COVID-19. Sonke siyayathi COVID-19 moskangithi. Then we thought let's start off by looking into how is it affecting us as children Eswatini? How is the COVID-19 affecting us? Sititeke at imfana ukuthi affecta kanjani ngendathi kukhona ku positive kukhona lo negative. Asesiqale nabe kukhona lo positive nani ngamenshina kona kuqala mana niva ngathi kukhona ema positive effects ayo kithi as children asesiphamisa intandla sikhulume ngakho. Mike sisinona.
I think as children we've adapted good habits, a hygiene, like we wash our hands and keep clean most of the time.
We've adapted good habits, a hygiene. Have we ever washed our hands this much in our lives?
I think now we're going to be exposed much on technology, such as internet banking.
It has given us an opportunity. Ngisho bongafuni ngiyakhuluma this thing eSwatini lokuthi lo ngayingeni udoze ayingeni bese naleyo game thina sakhula. So nyalo whether you like it or you don't, ema radio bekathe labo online learning angisi bese sikwenda nyalo sasilapho nje. So it's exposed to that.
I think that the pandemic has given us a chance to nurture our passions more and look at all the backgrounds and corners of the world and find out that there are people who are going through tougher and much difficult situations than we are. And we now have the time to study more and work on ourselves as people. Yes.
Okay. We focus beyond our borders and we're also even in our greater understanding of ourselves, the situations we're in. Okay, wow. Really, I didn't think you're going to come up with such positive things. I almost did not ask you about the positive. No, there's a hand at the back. I almost did not.
I think the pandemic has taught us to be more responsible ever since schools have been closed. So we are able to do gardening so that we can have that sort of income.
More responsible. Now we're more responsible and better skills, eh? More responsible as young people and says push up to send aid.
Listen, I talk a lot. I think we've also, as the world, we've also gotten united because for once we're dealing with one thing. Everyone is affected now.
It's a unifying factor. Eh? We're all dealing with one thing. We're also picking lessons from other countries. Eh? Okay?
I think it has made us to understand more about ourselves because right now you are isolated, you are alone. So now you have to learn more about yourself and who you are and accept who you are.
We've had a lot of alone time where you really had time to interact with yourself, eh? Okay. You lockdown is live.
I think the pandemic was also able to restore the importance of family. Because I think like for most times we've been to, as youth, we've been to movies, we've been to the malls, we've been hanging out a lot and we forget the importance of like staying home and building up a better domestic place for the growth of a child.
Wow. So family time. Even bosses that are always all over the place, now they are confined to their homes. They're even having meetings, online meetings and it. So we've spent more time as families. Negative effects, negative impact. negative impact of the pandemic?
The negative impacts include the delayed development of most countries like Swaziland, which are developing countries. It is delayed it by that we can't do most of the work because we're in lockdown, which means most people have lost their jobs, most people have lost their homes, and most people have been converted to poverty. Thank you.
Wow, lovely.
The negative impact, schools has closed, and that is a problem because more of students came from, let me say, child-headed family, which means they had to eat at school, you know, and some students, they stay with their grandmothers, which means they can't afford to buy toiletries. Some schools do offer pads, especially in girls.
Delayed development of countries, and then now she's highlighted the support that we're getting from schools as children, that we're now being deprived of.
Yes.
I think that we're not only facing one pandemic, but this pandemic has also aroused other pandemics such as gender-based violence, murder and rape, etc. Yeah.
So now we're having other problems that are now cropping up.
I think it has affected our education process because we no longer go to school. Even if there are online learning, some of children living under the poverty line cannot afford such gadgets so that they could be able to learn online. It has affected our education cycle.
Okay, more on education.
Yes, I am also going to add on education. I feel like our right to education as children, as young people, is being violated. As much as it's not anybody's fault, but then it is being violated. I must admit, the first few weeks were fun. We're not going to school and whatever, but now reality has kicked in. We have nothing. We learned nothing at school. We need to go back to school. So in that way, the pandemic has affected us.
More on the right to education.
I want to speak about the depression that COVID-19 has brought to our lives. Like, because I'm an emotional person, like, when it hit us, I was like, you know, the world is becoming a different place altogether because, you know, it hurts us the most when we didn't expect it. So we were not on guard. So there was so much pressure on how we need to integrate and adapt to a new health lifestyle, which I think was costive. And it was just another place. Our home became a new place altogether. Like, we became refugees and strangers in our own borders.
Refugees in our own home. There's one hand
in
down
our
here.
own bodies.
In our own bodies, even. Could you please start?
Because of those lockdowns, many people have lost jobs, which led to the fact that many parents cannot afford to give basic needs to their children.
The pandemic has also increased the rate of suicide because the positive patients could end up killing themselves due to discrimination.
Okay, suicide. There's another hand down here, Noni. Noni. You have.
Malungelo ethu ayabale ukuthi asisakhona ukodlala.
One of our rights that has been violated is our right to play.
The right to play.
COVID-19 has also given children a lot of time on their hands, which means the increase of use of drugs and the increase of, you know, the violation of the laws. Because in most areas in Swaziland, there isn't forceful laws, which means that most children have so much time on their hands that they have forgotten their structures and their backgrounds and where they come from.
Misuse of the time that we suddenly have.
This coronavirus increases the rate of teenage pregnancy as we stay at home due to this lockdown. Most of children, especially girls, they have got a chance, let me say, to see their boyfriend, but being at school keep us safe.
Oh, the safety of our schools. We're now deprived of the safety of our schools, and then we even have young people falling pregnant.
Yes. Mina ngibona ngathi silimele kakhulu, more especially those people who are under my planet, who are disabled, labangaboni. So asikhoni lokuthi sifunze kahle because laba lababonako banato tincwadi lemakhaya, but thine kulukhuni ngoba tincwadi tethu nje nangabe kutofundwa namuhla, nangabe kutofundwa kusasa, le chapter lefundzwa kusasa sitayifunza itawubhrelwa namuhla. So in that way thine site tincwadi lemakhaya even those funza emaredweni, but kulukhuni because sibe sasakhona ukutadisha.
We have a translation of that from...
Oh, okay. He is saying we have a serious problem as people living with disabilities, especially those who are visually impaired, because this e-learning only supports those who can see. And for us who are blind, our work has to be done the previous day, the previous day. It has to be brailled. If not, we cannot be able to read because over the radio we only hear people, we can't even read because we only read using braille.
Okay, Auntie, I also want to talk about access to healthcare services. It has been compromised a lot, especially for young people living with chronic illnesses like HIV, diabetes, cancer, because now of the travel restrictions, of course, and also the shortened time that you have to spend at the hospital, which means that some processes are totally ignored. You cannot do some things that just tell you it's not important, where else we know it's important. And there's also the problem of EMA world economies. I think EMA countries, they are going to have a problem financially because now they are taking loans and they have to support a lot of their population.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, right at the back.
Access to health services is also compromised.
I think it is increased more leisure time, and which makes learners to be less equipped. Even though you have e-learning, you learn online, you have all these gadgets, but you just become less equipped to learn because you have more leisure time, and then you start getting bored when you're busy learning, and then you say like, oh, can I do something else? Then you get engaged in stupid things like using drugs and all that stuff.
One behind you, Nhlanhla.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
let me start here.
Well, according to me, this pandemic has gave us an awful impact through our parents who have stopped working or lost their jobs, making us suffer through hunger and marasmus.
Hunger. Some parents have lost their jobs.
It has decreased the quality of education. For example, it's hard to understand a maths teacher in front of you. How much more on and how much more on TV and on radio?
Online learning challenges.
Compromise the quality of our education.
This pandemic has caused so many families to lose their breadwinners because COVID-19 affects those who are elder, so they end up dying.
So it's affecting that portion of the population that is employed within our families.
The pandemic has resulted to economic meltdown. You would agree with me that our country is still developing and we get more assistance from the developed countries. So in the instance, those countries are still struggling themselves. I would like to make an example with England, like British. They more into football if you take a closer look at their lifestyle. And you would find out even in the small games, the stadium is always packed. And right now, the stadiums aren't attended and nobody's going there to watch soccer, so the league is no longer making money out of soccer. Instead, they're making a loss. So now the money that they make, the less money that they make, they're trying to squeeze in and provide for those soccer players, ensuring their health within the pitch. So they don't have time now to assist the developing countries. So it has given us a negative impact.
Wow. Shifted priorities, hey? So now we can't receive support. We have a question here that we've been asked to deliberate around. Now that we've had Lama effects of the pandemic, what should the international community prioritize to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic? What do you think the international community has to do to help countries in recovering from this pandemic? What do you think the international community should do? What should they prioritize? Sorry, what should they prioritize? Yeah, what should answer sisivile ukuthi nishito nina la Eswatini UN ukhona angithi UN ukhona and UN ekubeni khona apha Eswatini anti vele representative the international community nishito bo UN len batiko ukuthi bakhona kangithi so ke naleti betikhulumile nyalo timvo lo kakhulu ephinde sikhanda ukuthi tihlukumeta emalungelo ethu angithi ezibantwana angithi so ke yini lenicanga ukuthi ke i-UN ingakwenda. What should they prioritize in tackling the challenges like COVID-19? Yes, Dan.
Okay, I have a number of things to say, but I think most importantly, they should continue to prioritize children because we are the future, which means the UN has to focus on holistic support for children, meaning they have to focus on all the aspects of a child, be it education. If others are unable to access education right now, I was very touched by this one of the visually impaired because they totally cannot access e-learning. So I think all these aspects should be prioritized. Education also helps because now what is happening, they are prioritizing COVID and neglecting the other diseases like HIV, which is going to take us back now because we're going to have increased infections and we are going to have to start afresh. And currently Swaziland had achieved low 95. But what is going to happen now? People are going to leave their treatment, people are going to get reinfected, people are going to get new infections and we are going to have to start afresh. COVID is going to pass, but some of these things are not going anywhere. We have to make sure, while we are shifting priorities, but let us not lose focus because at the end of the day, there's still life beyond COVID. So let us still continue to support, like malaria, HIV, all these things, they still need to be supported. And also, it's not only about financial support. I think mental health has to be prioritized as well. Because Nyalo, what is happening? Most children are killing themselves. Most of them are falling into depression. But lama services, abo social worker, abo psychosocial support, agabe accessible even using social networks and all these things. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, because most of us are, trust me, we are feeling overwhelmed. But I should know to say, if I log onto this website or if I can contact this number, I'm going to get someone who's going to talk to me and actually listen, because what is happening now, we are talking and no one is listening at all. We are just talking, it's not productive at all because at the end of the day, nothing changes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, another contribution. What can be done to help us recover better?
I think what can be done is that we need to focus on most people's health. Because since COVID-19 has started, it has affected the way people do their checkups, especially the elders. Because I've lost a lot of people in the past few months due to COVID-19. And it was mostly because they weren't able to get the attention they needed. Because most nurses consider it a risk they shouldn't take to check up on people if they may get infected and leave their own families behind. So I think they should check up on that, and they should strengthen their health care services.
Still calling for a holistic approach with focus on the other health issues that have been there before COVID. Hey, another response?
I think they should shield people. They should shield affected people and firms with large, timely, targeted fiscal and financial sector measures.
Sorry?
They should shield affected people and firms with large, timely, targeted, and fiscal, financial sector measures.
We will need those people. You done?
Yes.
Okay. We will need a support for people who are currently going through the financial crisis. So he is saying, let us have a plan around providing support to the people who are affected negatively now by COVID. There is a hand at the back, or you still want to be down there?
Going back to what my sister said over there, I think the show prioritized children first, because I read on the newspaper today that a 4-year-old kid died due to coronavirus. But then, even education, guys, uyabona sayidinga le education. Lokuthi sitawuyela emuva, kuthi sifundile, but asikafundi just because icorona ikhona. Nama HIV abakhona, ababulala abantu, but ayizange ukuthi sekuthiwa sesivala etikolweni. Mina vele le isikole shem ngiyazidinga, guys. Lokuthi sitawuvala, hayi.
Let's not stop school, Natalie, because of COVID. We never stopped school when HIV came. So why should we stop now?
Well, if the doctors and health organizations such as the World Health Organization responsible for finding the vaccine for COVID-19 are successful, then the international community must make sure to fairly distribute the vaccines all over the world for the betterment of everyone.
Fair distribution of a COVID-19 vaccine. When the time comes when they come up with it, he's advocating for a fair distribution. Yes.
Well, economically, I don't think it is going to be easy for the international communities to recover better from the COVID-19. Because firstly, it has not only affected the economy of developing countries, but it is also, going back to what she said about education, we cannot also go back to school even though we need school. But then we have to adhere to the coronavirus restrictions. So we cannot foretell when the coronavirus is going to end. No, can we say that we can recover better economically from the COVID-19? Because truth be told, the situation, for instance, the Kingdom of Eswatini, they haven't even started to test people around homesteads for the COVID-19. So then they don't have money. As we all know that the economy was ailing itself, it was a developing country. So I don't think we can recover. It's going to be easy to recover better from the COVID-19 economically.
Mm-hmm. One down, okay.
I think the UN has to tackle the devastating social and economic dimensions of the crisis. Clearly, we must fight for the barriers for all humanity with the focus of people, especially the most affected people, the elderly, and the low-wage workers and the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get to her, anyone else?
There is another hand down here.
I don't think that kukhona lokunye lokungasida, because lapha akhona ama-gadgets laba ke basinika wona bathi asiwasebenzise lawabita ngema-braille not touch. Unfortunately lama-braille not touch asebenzisa i-Wi-Fi, so noma kungathiwa siyawathatha siya nawo lemakhaya angeke aze asiside nzawo because labanye kude nale Wi-Fi khona lemakhaya. Kwesibili lama-braille not touch abesebenza esikolweni but not too much because bakhona labangawati ukuwasebenzisa. Vele nje I don't think ukuthi khona labangasisita ngako asebazamela okunye.
Do you want to translate that because I don't know the
Okay, he thinks government should just, maybe they shouldn't do anything, or because us using braille note touches, there is a certain device that was given to all the children who are visually impaired at his school. So he thinks nothing has been done and nothing should be done. I don't know why they shouldn't do anything. Yes, because they always say, this braille note touches, it needs you to be connected to the internet. So if it is not connected to internet, it means they are still not going to do anything, because these braille note touches are not going to help them without the Wi-Fi's. Even if they can say they should take their gadgets home, they are not going to be helped, because originally he is from Sitobelweni. There's no Wi-Fi there. He stays with the granny. There's no Wi-Fi there.
So it is a cost that come with the use of modern technology, hey? Because in as much as this gadget is helping, but the challenge is that as young people, and especially people from deprived communities, they don't have the resources for those.
Okay, one more thing. I think this is the time for international communities to begin injecting more money into entrepreneurship, because it's going to be the one solution to the unemployment, the loss of jobs, the quality of education that is depreciating. So if more money is injected into stimulating the young people to venture into entrepreneurship, it's going to actually help in many different areas of living, I think.
Entrepreneurship, hey? Entrepreneurship. Wow, that is really, really, it's beautiful. So we are thinking that there are chances if we try out those things that you have just suggested, our communities might be supported in recovering from the pandemic. Budismuso mentioned that the UN is turning 75 this year, right? Right? Lokshaguti, in 25 years, the UN will be turning 100, yeah. And then let us look into 25 years from now. What do you think? Do you think people, that is going to be 2045, do you think people will be better off, worse off, or about the same like we are today? In 2025, are we going to be the same as we are today? Or are we going to be better off, or are we going to be worse off? So I'm expecting that you might have, wait, before we do, let us just see by show of hands which group you have picked. So that you are going to have views from the three responses. Hey, those who are saying in 2045, people will be better off than now. Could you please raise your hands?
Better off?
Better off than now.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay? And then those who are saying, will be worse off than now. We will be worse off than now.
Yes, I see.
Okay? And those that are saying, we'll be the same. We will be the same. Who thinks,
in 2045?
In 2025, it's also 2045, it's also Okay. Who do we hear from first? Okay, let me. Same. Okay. Yeah. Why do you think it's going to be the same?
Nothing will change because konke la kwentekako, tonke tifo, good in fact improvement la kwani or the world nje kahle kahle. Akuna improvement, good the social media, good the lutho nje. So tabe so long nje.
Eswatini is not improving. Even in 2045, it will be the same.
Yes. Ngisekela siswami, but vele angiboni mina because kwanyalo le education iphazamisekile, so there is no way this ngaya kuyo because isikhathi esiningi sithi imfundo is key yasempilo. So lava labaphiwe amakhono la kufundzeni batase baba kuphi ke. Kwesibili thina lesingaboni sitase sesifundza nini ngoba phela siyakhala sithi kude asikhoni ukufundza inyenti lethu. Vele nje kutawufana nanyalo ngakhanza sikutaba wesi.
Okay, we will be the judges in the end, but there's no wrong and right answer. Those who think it will still be the same in 2045.
I think that in 2045, we will be just as the same, because if the world is based on inventing smartphones and cars, that more than half of the world's population will be unable to afford by 2045, how will we move forward? Because if Western governments fail to cooperate with the UN, we will be just as the same as today. Even today, people don't have jobs. Many people are on the streets begging because the government doesn't want to make the old people retire. It doesn't want to make them go down. It doesn't want to allow them to stay at home and give the young people the opportunity to showcase their talent, to showcase what they have gone to at school. So I think that the world will be just the same as today.
Just the same. Just the same. Are we done with the just the sames? Okay, then the ones that are saying, okay, thank you so much for your input. The ones that are saying, it's going to be worse off. It's going to be worse off. Worse off.
Basically, I expect the income inequality to be worse over. The economy will be weaker, the nation's debt burden will be heavier, the environment will be in worse condition, and healthcare will be less affordable than study. Expect income gaps to widen and thus lead to worsening to the standards of living.
Okay.
Everything getting worse. Anyone?
Worse off? Worse off?
I also think the world will be worse off by now because everything will be 10 times worse than it is because everyone will be trying to recover from financial issues, mental issues, emotional issues, and educational issues. Thank you.
So more especially with the impact of COVID-19, she feels we will not have recovered in 45 years.
I think it will be worse off because I bet if this thing is over, not all the pupils who drop from school will go back to school. Maybe half of them will go back to school. And secondly, if I would ask that when I came to you today and you telling me you're selling these pots at 20 bucks, and when I come tomorrow during the pandemic, you're telling me it's 70 bucks. Is it worse or better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worse.
Better or worse? The question is posed to all of us. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Ngaga worse off? Anyone else now? Okay, let us then hear from the ones who are positive, who are saying, we're going to be better off, guys.
Okay,
hey, we are going to be better off.
I'll start from this side.
Would be better off.
Okay, from myself, I'm very optimistic about the future because if given life, then you need to live it. And I also think like if there is any problem, you need to tackle it and resolve it.
So I think the world in 2045, you need to live to see it, because there will be a drastic change in technology. I'm speaking about most of everything that we've ever used being advanced. Think about using a robot yourself. Not like, even when you need services from shops, you won't be finding people to serve you there. You'll need to work with technology, and I think that's just a diverse. People need to bend a little bit. It'll be fine.
Banking on the improvement we're seeing in technology, good, we'll be in another world there.
UN at 75 years. It was formed.
100 years?
It will be 100 years in 2045.
2045 years.
So it was formed 1945. We're in 2020. So from 1945 to 2020, do you really think life is the same? A lot has changed from 1945 to 2020. We have invested in education, we have free primary education. People are provided with scholarships to go to universities, whatever in the world. We have changed. We are improving bit by bit, as much as the improvement is not yet broad or out there, but then we will be better off in 2045. I mean, United Nations will be 100 years. They'll be still trying to implement the 17 SDGs, and they will implement those SDGs. We have the fourth industrial revolution, technology, innovation, infrastructure. We are improving. So we have 25 more years to do even more things and better things. So we are improving. We're not the same. We won't be worse. We won't be the same.
Okay.
Are you same group?
I also think that we would have been better off. As people mostly say, time heals everything. And looking from now, from the Sustainable Development Goals that were implemented, they were said to have been fulfilled by the year 2030. So if they were said to be fulfilled by the year 2030, they would be, in fact, they've started to be fulfilled. Looking from goal number 1, poverty. They deliver food parcels for poor people, and also quality education. Everyone is now exposed to the rights of education, which means that we will be better off by the year 2045.
Wow. Even SDGs will be our drivers towards being better in 2045. The vehicle.
In as far as I'm concerned, people, we need to struggle and keep it real. Like, the persevere will succeed. We need to motivate ourselves and tell ourselves we lead our way. There's no need to drown into our sorrows. Like, if you need no pressure, just struggle and keep it real.
We need to rise above the challenges, eh?
What a motivation.
I think it will be better off because right now, children have been less equipped. Yes, they've been less equipped because change has never been nice to anyone. But we're changing. Look at us. Now we know how to learn online using internet. So I think to 2045, it will be more advanced. Even in remote areas, a lot of children will be learning in internet. So that, I think it's gonna be better off. I think it's gonna be amazing. What we need to do as children, as people, we need to adapt that the world is changing. That's gonna make the world better off. Thank you very much.
Change is inevitable, and you think change in a positive direction.
I think the world would be better off, especially in Eswatini. King Mswati III once said Vision 2022. I'm not sure about that, but if you tell, yourself that in the next 25 years, what do you want to be, and what changes will you bring to the world or to the country? There's a lot you can bring. There's a capability in you. If you tell yourself that, for me, I want to be a scientist. So if you tell yourself that I want to bring
the cure of HIV, if it will be there. And then, don't you think the world will be changing through you? So tell yourself that you're going to change the world, not the world changing you.
Wow. Let's change
So we
the
are
world.
telling ourselves we are going to change the world. We will not allow the world to change us. The two hands there.
I think in 2045 we will be better off, because from now we have generated new ways of doing things, especially in the healthy side. We have generated digital health technology solutions, such as population screening, tracking the infection, and we are designing targeted responses.
Wow. Big things.
If young people of today are given space to express themselves and are involved in the process of finding solutions to issues that affect them, a better life in 2045 will be a mileage.
Will be a mileage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let's reach that mile.
Okay, first of all, meaning it will differ sector to sector. Some sectors will improve, some will get worse, of course. But to me, this pandemic is serving as a reset button. I think God is saying to us, start afresh. And the way it's bad, there's no way we can go down, guys. The only way to go is up. It's going to improve one way or the other. For example, there are less cars on the road. Some industries are closed, which means the earth is getting a chance to heal. Even when it comes to climate change, we're going to improve drastically because emissions and mancane lakakhona. So I think there's nowhere to go but higher, guys.
Issues of climate change. We've hit rock bottom, so now the only way to go is up.
I think in the next 45 years, is it? On 2045, kutave sekungcono because for now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Kutave sekungcono because for now wakhona emathayiji nje sine sesiyakhona kwasebenzisa because there is this app lavasendele yona lesikhona ku WhatsApp asende konke singene bo internet. Lo kunginika lithemba ukuthi maybe singakhona ukuthi nathi sibese sesiyalingana. Amen.
Yeah. He's been convinced to take the positive side.
Now he's optimistic.
What I can say is that I guess 2045 will be better than now, because what I've seen, now we are much educated. As fanane bambagatseni lebe batitshela ukuthi maybe abaye esibhedlela batoti lapha basebenzisa lokhu. They told themselves that they know, which means they didn't know exactly ukuthi bendani, but now we are much educated, which means sesinalo maybe cabanga ukuthi maybe in future like kitaba kanje is educated nyalo.
Okay, very optimistic.
Very
one
optimistic.
more point.
Yeah, one more point, then we move forward.
Just quickly, have we all filled in this very important before we get to the next point? Has this come to you, all of you? Yeah, Boka.
They always say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. HIV came, we all thought we were going to. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. HIV came, we all thought we were going to die. Well, I wasn't even there when HIV came, but I know what people thought. They thought they were going to die. Influenza came, they thought they were going to die. Now we have ARVs. We are preventing HIV from infecting even more people. So that's the improvement that I'm talking about. We will be better off 25 years from now. We will improve as a country, as the universe. We won't be extinct, come on. Coronavirus is going to end. We are going to survive. It always seems impossible until it's done. It seems impossible now, but then it will be over very soon.
Wow. It always seems impossible until it is done.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
One more.
You feel you can't do this.
I'm sorry to say, but I will disagree with all of you. I think I think neither of these three things, whether better off or whether worse off or whether the same as today, I don't support anything at all. I think that we might, when we reach 2045, we might forget the activities of 2020, but we won't forget the pain we had when we lost the loved ones in this year. And we'll never forget how our education as students was affected, and we'll also never forget how the fear that we had of getting infected with coronavirus. And last but not least, we will never forget the time when our parents stopped working or lost their jobs. And in conclusion, everything might change, whether better off, whether worse off, or worse today, but we'll never forget the pain of 2020.
We'll never forget the pain of 2020, of 2020. 2020. Okay, on that note, because clearly we don't want to see the picture that he's painting now, right? Do you want to be feeling like that in 2045? You don't. What would you like to see in 2045? What would you like to see? And now we're taking what we've highlighted when we're responding to where do we see people being in 2045 to what do we want to see. There are even negative things that we identified and we thought that's where we see, we think we're going to be negatively affected like this. But what positive things, what share your vision? What would you like to see in 2045?
By 2045, we want to see Swaziland being transited to renewable energy for electricity.
Renewable energy for electricity.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Eswatini.
Me personally, I want to see all the 17 SDGs that are recognized because if all of them are recognized, then everything is going to be well because all the sectors are catered for.
Attainment of all 17 SDGs, and they're on the wall for us to even remind ourselves what the global target is. By 2030, those are the targets.
What I personally want to see is the equal opportunity for everyone. Even though we may have scholarships to go to other countries and learn in colleges, but we can't forget that there are racists in those countries. And even if we come back here with our high education levels, we still can't find jobs. There are a lot of people out there who have masters, PhDs, everything, but cannot find jobs no matter how hard they learn. And every day we're being told education is the key to success. Then what if that key is no longer able to open that lock? Thank you.
The key is no longer able to open the lock. And remember, in 2045, I think most of us that are in front of you, we won't be there, hey? You are the ones who will be, maybe you'll even be working for the UN, you'll be the teachers, you'll be the ones who'll be adults, and there will be your children at the time, right?
By 2045, I want to see the force and economy of our country driven by young people. I think that our young people should be given the platform to take the lead and make a change. It is said that young people are the future of their country. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all the people should listen to what we as youngsters have to say and allow us to take charge. Poverty can only decrease if that young person who is the head of a family is given a job so that he may be able to earn an income to put food on the table. Thank you.
On the note of attaining the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, I would also want to see that fulfillment, more especially goal number 1, poverty. We have people each and every day dying of hunger, And also, as the Kingdom of Eswatini, we have 60% of people living at the poverty line, which then shows that the fulfillment of the sustainable goals needs to be done. And also, goal number 5, gender equality. We want to have a female prime minister. We want we want to have women leading, women being in higher stages. That's all.
Thank you. You go, girl. Gender.
Well, what I want to see in 2045, we as young people, we are the future of this country. So we would be very happy if we would be included in decision making. We are making decisions for our future. We are the ones who are going to be that future. I'm so sorry, maybe Sis Non is not going to be there in 2045. So why am I not being included in it, making a decision that is going to affect me? I'm the one who's going to be left here in 2045, and I'll be suffering for decisions made by people who are already dead. So we should be included as young people in decisions that are made, and those decisions will be affecting us. And also the protection of women and children. I do acknowledge what our country is doing, the SOTV Act is doing the most. But then it is working, but not the way we want to see it working. Because people are abusing the SOTV Act, I'm sorry to say. They are abusing it. It is helping at some point, but then we need more things that will protect our women and children, the future of this country. Thank you.
The voices of young people, Sibusiso. The young people are saying, just give us the opportunity to talk, because we'll be the ones. Okay.
Meaning at most, I'm advocating for a collaborative world whereby, like, we put our health lifestyle first. Meaning, I was very impressed in the way my life changed in terms of health lifestyle. And I wish for us as this generation to impose that same lifestyle to our next children or next grain of grandchildren. In order for us to attain a lifestyle healthier, we need to like sibeke hygiene first. And the other thing is that hurts me that hurt me most was we should also increase the availability of saving life projects. Like what government should do is try to avoid they boost their economies in the wake of one global health crisis. Impose prices lamakhulu. For an example, in some other countries, benda kudule mask kakhulu, benda sale babenisha our trade sanctions because we had a crisis. So, but they took advantage of the crisis. Basebafuna guti booster their economies. Which ngakubona ngathi kunebu-greedy nyana, because I mean, as a world must face a crisis, we need to come together and help each other rather than just take advantage of the situation, because lamhlabeni asifanani, kukhona lamanye amave that are far worse off than us, kukhona lamanye nalangcono. So we need to like to collaborate more in the production of lifestyle legacy in the next times.
The world we would love to see. One hand down here.
I would love to see a drug-free generation in the next 45 years. How painful it is to see a 10-year-old child being a drug addict.
Drug-free generation.
Let me start from the front this
Yep.
time and come to the back. Interesting views.
Very interesting views. Because this is the world we would love to see.
As for me, in 2045, I would like to see all the disabled people taking part in everything. Educated, find doctors, teachers who are disabled.
Meaningful participation of people living with disabilities.
I'd also
Okay.
I'd also like to add on the women's part. I would also love to see women no longer being treated like second-class citizens. Because being a woman myself, or going to be a woman, I want to have equal opportunities as boys and men have. Because I have bigger dreams just like every other woman out there. And when we feel the pain of knowing that our dreams are limited to a certain level, it's really not fair.
We want to grow to their full potential, participate with full potential as women.
I would like to see Swaziland manufacturing things, like our own things, not depending on other countries. Because other countries think like, we're not good enough, Swaziland is not good enough, Swaziland is that, Swaziland is that. So I would like Swaziland to manufacture our own things so that we cannot depend on others, so that we can be independent, in fact.
Less dependence for our country on other countries.
I would like to see an innovative generation, because if you're innovative, then there'll be more ideas. You'll be able to think forward. I mean, let's face it, this is Earth, we're not living on Mars. Pandemics will come, and the next, if this one goes, the next one will come. So then, if we're innovative as a generation of innovativeness, then we'll be able to provide for many people. There will be no need for people to stay home because now there's a pandemic or anything else. Thank you very much.
Innovation.
In 2045, I want to see a world with improved agricultural input, which will help us in mass production and eliminate the problem of hunger, which is goal number 2.
Improved technologies.
Supporting what the brother said, I want to see Eswatini depending on itself. Because right now on this epidemic, it's looking forward on South Africa and what South Africa is doing. Like when South Africa says, matric is opening, in Swaziland it's going to be like, even from 5 is opening school. It's not like that. Swaziland needs to depend on itself. Be independent. Don't depend on other countries. That is why in 2045, I think we here, all of us, I think we can do that and make it happen.
Wow. Less dependence on other countries.
Well, I hope to see to the main aim of United Nations, which is the promotion of peace among countries, being fulfilled, because you know what they say. No, what I say. I say that the key to be united and become one is only through this main aim, which is really important, and we should see to it. And I hope only that and nothing else.
Hoping for peace.
Peace.
And nothing else.
Because if we would have peace, there will be less wars, eh?
Any other? Yes, we don't want to mix your voices.
I'm sorry, goodness, I'm talking too much.
It's okay, Jeff.
Yes. Actually, I want to see Eswatini, crime rate yehla. Kufaka ekhathi kweba and ku-raper. Because many of us, thina emamfombatane, silahlekelwa yi-future mato si-raper kani sibancane. Uyabo, bese siba nebamfana, which ngeke kutawenda i-country yethu inga-develop. Because if ubuka i-pyramid of developing countries, utokhanza ukuthi kunema, it's kulokhuzana ku-wider at the basis. Why? Because basi-raper sibancane bese sidala abamfana bese kuba bede i-future. Kanti mangabe utawuba nonke ni-ambitious la kule country, nifuna ukuthi i-country yenu iqhubekele phambili, nitawukhona ukuthi nibambisane nibe ndzawonye ukuze ukuthi iqhubekele phambili. I just wanna see la kangwane kuba bede kweba, kuba bede kubulalana, kuba bede nekumithisana.
No violence. Let me start again from the front and come to the back.
Mina ngithi 2045 ngutaba ngcono ngoba nyalo siyabona kule situation lesikiyo kude umuntu lotoyekela isikolo sesiyabona ukuthi imfundo ikahle kakhulu ingasenda siqhubekele phambili.
Oh, thank you so much, Tanda Sam.
Mina, in 2045, I would like to see sonke silingane. Is I feel like is sine ema boys ema right to survivalent because nyalo ngathi sekunakwa kakhulu lama girls asabuka kakhulu thina and thina sivese sitikhanza sibancane because naso uthi nje uyafika police station utawubika kuthi makwakwa mongende lokhu bavele bakuhleke nje naso ibuka nawe lento. So mina vele I feel like thina sesifakwa ngaphasi kakhulu asebasinyuse man.
So boys should not be neglected as well as we think about gender equity or equality.
Well, I would like to see the increase in employment rate, especially the youth, the future of the country. I am going to emphasize on that because we are the one who are going to be in 2045. We need more employment. As we are on lockdown, we are self-introspecting ourselves. We have new ideas, fresh ideas, and these ideas are the ones that are going to provide businesses, are the ones that are going to provide job opportunities for our country. So I would really appreciate it if we have more job opportunities, more employment for our youth.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
And also I would like to see developments in education. Not only developing gwekuthi susuka ekubhaleleni exercising, now we're using iPads, but developments whereby we were now learning from A to B, and now we have to learn from A to F, that kind of education development.
More development in education required.
Meaning, I'm actually advocating for the girl child. But it is so unfortunate ukuthi emhlabeni mawutalwa ungumfana, like there's no manual for your parents to actually raise you. So wonke umntali ukuraise ngendlela yokuthi ube kahle. Unfortunately ke kufundisa umfana indlela yokuthi abe ngathini holistically nje abe ngumuntu lo kahle. It takes so much, and it's not mathematics because ufundisa math nje A is A and 1 is 1. But you know, investing a lifestyle, it takes a lot ukuthi umfana kufuna afunze kuwe as a parent. So for me nje ngiva ngazuthi bamfa bethu or maybe the youth, there's so much demands of a lifestyle kulamalang. Especially for the rural girl child, you know, the lifestyle that they are living, iba expose kakhulu to health lifestyle lesebhlungu, because these girls of ours that we want to become women of substance, ngathini, angathi bayadiverta, and you know the way girls live their lives, you don't want to know. There's so much of intergenerational sex, labor exposure kakhulu different, and it has become such a norm because ngisho kwabona la bobabe noma ke those uncles or those big daddies noma ke labo bay kunormal nje for umfana lona 16 to be in a relationship with a man that is 40 or even 45. For as long as she's getting iPhones, pelamina guys angikhulume manga, you know those things are happening in our societies. And it's such normal, and mina kungiphatha kabi vele, kungiphatha kabi kabuhlungu, because you know bamfana they are old, banale form yokuthi nyalo ngiyeva nje kuthiwa kubuyela esikolweni. Ngiyacabanga nje ngedvana ngithi okay, they're going back to school. mabaqala nje bangena egedeni kuneform yokuthi injani imask yakho injani inangizanyana yakho. You know that life that we've trained to live lempilo lo longasiyona lobuya yona emakhaya, and it's very painful because it is exposing us kakhulu kuto tonke nje timvo that are putting us in danger and that are also depriving us of the women that we really should become.
Yeah, Manomze Flamasha, the things now that you think are now cool, but at the same time, do you have more hands?
Thank God we have the same masks today.
I think there should be no discrimination. I think there should be no discrimination. Take for instance, a person living with disability, he comes to ask for a part-time job during this time of a pandemic because he's not in school, he's just sitting at home. And then the owner of a store or somewhere where he comes to ask for a job will discriminate that person because maybe he's blind. Not his hands are blind, not his feet are blind, not his whole body is blind, it's only the eyes. But he's gonna be discriminated because he's somehow living with disability. So I would like not to see that in future.
Thank you. More participation of people living with disabilities.
I want to make sure I'm not leaving anyone from the back as I move forward.
The world we want to see in
I would
2045.
like government of Eswatini to provide free educations. Because akusithi sonke lesikhonako ku-afforda kuba kungena esikolweni lokho kudala reduce i-poverty.
Free education
to reduce poverty.
No need.
Moving
By 2045, youth should not only be speaking, but driving national developments.
Not just speaking it, but we should be driving national development.
I'm hoping for a democratic Swaziland in 1945 because I believe if we are all involved, meaningful engagement, because we might sit here and actually talk, but it doesn't matter because you are just a nobody. But another thing that I'm really, really hoping for is that in 2045, no child would be living with HIV and AIDS, because that will mean we are having no new infections.
No new HIV infections, zero.
Zero.
Naughty. Not and democracy.
One additional point.
More democratic, eh?
By 2045, we should be leading and older persons listening and providing guidance.
Whoa, did you get that, guys? Wow.
Let's get it again.
You wanted to say it again?
Yes, please.
And louder.
We should be leading and older persons listening and providing guidance.
Wow.
I'm so happy because you'll be the old people at that time. So we'll just be offering your guidance, your vision.
In 2045, I would like to see equal job opportunities. Like when you get into an office for a job interview, they usually judge you by the way you're dressed. Are you from a privileged family? Do you have privileged status? Do you have a high self-esteem, a low self-esteem? For some people, they don't even care about your backgrounds anymore. Some people just care about employing their own families. They put strands just to put their cousins, their mothers, their fathers, and forget about the ones that truly have potential, that come from the, because the most people that have the high education are from poverty areas because they take education seriously. So that, because they're told that education is what's gonna get them out of that poverty. But for people that come from privileged families, they tell themselves that when they grow up, they'll have this, they'll have that, without even putting the strength into it. So I'd like to see people not being judged when to go to those interviewing offices and being judged by what they truly are.
Equal opportunities.
You guys are intelligent, honestly.
You've just painted a beautiful picture of 2045. It's lovely. I wish I could live to see that world in 2045. Do you think there might be some obstacles that might stop us from getting there, to that world we would love to see? Are there any obstacles you are foreseeing? Let's mention them. What obstacles and challenges might block your vision?
Well, one of the challenges will be gender inequality in other countries such as India and South Korea. Well, India is well known for early marriage among children because it is highly believed that male are the decision makers in the family and no one can go against them. Well, no one can go against them. This obstacle is highly horrible to all the women and all the females in the country, and I will support them, even though I'm a male, but I will support them in this. And this obstacle is highly disturbing me. That's why I would like to mention it.
He's picked on gender inequality and has identified mass social norms. He's picked social norms for one country as an example.
Whereas the obstacle is people refusing to accept change. And take for instance, when now children are introduced to e-learning, children in remote areas think that this is for the people who live in urban areas with gadgets and everything. It's not for us. That makes it an obstacle because if you neglect something, if you neglect change, then the future won't come. The brighter future won't happen. So that's the obstacle I see right now. Is people neglecting change.
Okay. Neglecting change. You must all be willing to change.
Change is inevitable.
Meaning, I think like a challenge lestoba nayo. Ngicabanga ukuthi as impilo ishintsha, like njengoba sikhuluma nje ukuthi we are seeing so much fantasy of self-driven cars and robots and stuff. But the other big challenge that I see is as impilo iya etulu it demanda ukuthi nawe uya etulu nayo. So it's not everyone that will be able to get up with life. Asangibekise nje, if we are talking about ukuthi le e-learning system nje will be taking its course, and then it's not every child that can have access to labo laptop, iPads or cell phones or even internet. Loko kusho kuthini? Laba labete ke bona sebatawuyaphi, sebatokwendani ke bona. So sitabana le challenge le ukuthi singena sonke yini la kule change or labanye siyabashiya emuva. And with regards kokuthi kunabata the parents that do not have money as we speak nje because of the pandemic. So what are those parents going to use to send their children back to school? Shokuthi they'll be batogcina bahlele emakhaya or what? So those are some of the challenges that I foresee.
Improved technology iyadula.
Well, I think that one of the main challenges or obstacles that the UN is going to face is people insisting on living in 1940 instead of living in 2020. People these days still think that a female should be the one staying at home, taking care of the kids, guarding the home and whatever. That is why even when a girl child gets pregnant in school, she's the one who gets expelled and not the boy. These are the things that will hinder the process. How is SDG number 5 going to be implemented properly if we still do these kinds of things? There won't be any gender equality if we still are living in 1940 instead of 2020. Let's just get on with the times. Females are equal to males, not strength-wise or whatever, but then we want to be equal, and we are equal to men. It's just that people are still living in the past instead of living in the present and focusing on the future.
Asihambeni sonke ku-1945 kungasali ba-1920. She thinks the UN will have to be funeka babuka bamvula sona basela ku-1920.
Also, on the note of gender equality, I feel it is going to be an obstacle for us because in as much as we are promoting gender equality, which I'm 100% for, whereby women get to have the same stages as men, the men will feel like we are neglecting them, as he has mentioned over there, because now we are much more recognizing women more than men. We are building girls' empowerment clubs. Have you ever heard of a boys' empowerment clubs? You have not. Because why? Because we are treating gender equality by promoting gender inequality. We are ignoring the boys and putting much more recognition to the girls, whereas we should also try to advocate for both genders. If there are girls' empowerment club, there should also be boys' empowerment club, and that is the obstacle I think that is going to hinder us in the process.
Gender inequality is being identified as one common obstacle by a number of us. What more other obstacles that you see, that you foresee?
An obstacle that I see is self-esteem. We may talk right now, we may wish, and we may see most obstacles, but if most of us don't have the right self-esteem, then what will we be talking about? Because you may go to school, you may have everything. If you don't have that potential in you, that potential-driven urge to go to that interviewer's office and tell them that if I want this, I'm gonna get this, and I don't